Yo, what is up guys, YK Anime back again with another What If, and today we're doing What If Deku was the reincarnation of Yoriichi from Demon Slayer. Sorry for being gone for 2 months, the thing is I had school, so I never really had much time to record my What Ifs. Hopefully this What If can make it up to you, and without further ado, let's hop into this What If. Oh, and there's gonna be spoiler warnings for the Demon Slayer manga, so make sure to read that and come back.
I got your attention, spending that moolah, 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 moolah. I'm a truck popping, pocket, swolla, 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 swolla. Swolla, 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 swolla. Swolla, 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 swolla. Swolla, swolla, swolla. Swolla, 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 swolla.
Izuku Midoriya is a boy that is born with a scar on his face. His parents do not think much of it. And Midoriya, as he grows up, doesn't even talk to anyone, not even his own family. He doesn't even laugh, smile, or cry. His parents, at the beginning, think that he must be deaf. And, well, he's not really deaf. As they realize that when they call his name, he does turn around to look at them. One day, Midoriya's father is getting ready to leave for a business trip overseas. He leaves Inko with some sort of cloth and tells her to give it to Midoriya when he reaches a certain age, the age of 10. She obliges, and with that he also gives her earrings and make sure Midoriya keeps them and must wear them at all times for good luck. And so his father leaves. Ingo takes care of Midoriya and leaves this sheet of cloth and what seems to be incredibly heavy in a closet, in a box. Midoriya goes to school like an ordinary child and easily makes friends. Why is that? Because of his scar on his face. Bakugo, who thinks the scar is incredibly cool, begins to talk with Midoriya and says that your scar is incredibly awesome and befriends Midoriya. But Midoriya doesn't even reply to him or even look at him. And Bakugo is confused with this. Bakugo would go to Inko and ask why Midoriya doesn't speak. And she goes on to say that, to lie, and says that he's deaf, he can't speak. And Bakugo, confused at this, says that, well, if he won't speak, I'll make him speak. And Mitsuki, well, she just punches Bakugo. And so Bakugo slowly starts to get closer to Midoriya. Way closer in the actual story. One day, Bakugo awakens his quirk and starts to show it off to everyone. He rushes over to Midoriya and starts to show off to Midoriya. Midoriya stares at these explosions that seem to be in front of him. And Bakugo thinks that Midoriya doesn't care at all. And says that I'll be the #1 hero and keeps ranting about it. And so, a few days pass by and Midoriya would follow Bakugo around. Well, and Bakugo doesn't really know this, but Bakugo simply says that Midoriya is his friend, so of course he'll follow him. And Bakugo's would be the #1 hero. You'd want to hang out with the future #1 hero. So Midoriya would simply just follow Bakugo wherever he went, and watch as Bakugo would use his quirk and show off with it. One day, when Midoriya and Bakugo are alone, Bakugo would use his quirk, well, just for the fun of it, and Midoriya quietly says, Bakugo, is your dream to become the #1 hero? And Bakugo looks straight at Midoriya in shock, stopping whatever he was doing, thinking that these past few weeks, these months, that Midoriya had been deaf. Well, actually isn't. Bakugo runs over to Midoriya and says you could speak the whole time, but Midoriya doesn't reply. Bakugo thinks that it must have maybe he's just hearing things, but Midoriya asks him the same question. Bakugo, is it your dream to become the #1 hero? And Bakugo says, I knew you could say it. And Bakugo would go on to answer that question. Yes, I'm going to be the #1 hero. And Midoriya would go on to say, if you're going to be the #1 hero, then I'll be the #2 hero, and we can fight alongside each other. Bakugo would smile at Midoriya, and Midoriya would also smile back at him, which would shock Bakugo. Wait, Midoriya just smiled? He never smiles. He never cries. He runs over to Inko and says that Midoriya smiled. He's speaking, and Inko thinks that Bakugo must be playing a few games on her. Mitsuki punches Bakugo and says not to play games with Inko. And Bakugo says, no, I'm not. And so, a few months pass by, and Midoriya doesn't seem to be getting a quirk. Bakugo is the first person to be concerned about this. He would rush over to Inko and tell her why Midoriya doesn't have his quirk yet. She would say, oh, well, we were recently going to take him to the doctors to see if he would get a quirk. And so, Bakugo would ask her if he could come along with him. And she accepts, and Mitsuki also comes with them. And so, when they arrive and do a few testing, x-ray scans and all of that, they realize that Midoriya isn't going to get a quirk. Bakugo is completely shocked, and Midoriya is simply unfazed. Bakugo thinks to himself that our dream to be the #1 and #2 hero have been ruined because Midoriya doesn't have a quirk. They both go home, and Inko would ask Midoriya why his dreams to become a hero are ruined, and he's unfazed at all. Midoriya wouldn't reply and simply would go to his room. Bakugo, on the other hand, is quite angered at this. Midoriya doesn't have a quirk. No, it can't be. And he gives it some thoughts and ignores it. The next day, Midoriya heads over to Bakugo, but Bakugo doesn't even say a single word to him. Bakugo would walk off, and Midoriya would follow him. And Bakugo would keep walking off, and Midoriya would still follow him, and this would go on for a while. Bakugo would get quite annoyed at this and tell Midoriya to stop following him. We're no longer friends. You don't have a quirk. You're just a useless idiot. Midoriya would look unfazed at Bakugo and still follow him. Bakugo gets so annoyed that he decides to attack Midoriya, creating an explosion. This explosion is able to knock back Midoriya. Bakugo, realizing what he has done, apologizes to Midoriya. But Midoriya, unfazed at all, heck, there's not even a single scratch. Bakugo, completely shocked at this, is actually confused, and Midoriya simply walks away. Bakugo, confused at this, kinda ignores it and says, then at least he's gone. And so, Midoriya would go talk with his other friends. Well, not really talk, would just stare at them. They would say, let's play a game. Midoriya, you be the villain and we'll be the hero. Or the other way around, whatever you want it to be. And so Midoriya obliges. So the two kids decide to go attack Midoriya. These are none other than Bakugo's friends. The one with the long fingers and the one with the wings. You get it. And so they instantly knock back Midoriya, and Midoriya goes flying into a tree. The two don't really seem that worried about him, because he just stands up, and to the right of him is a stick. Midoriya grabs the stick and takes a stance, and the two kids charge back at Midoriya, and Midoriya charges right at them, and at an instant, 4 consecutive blows to the neck, the stomach, the leg, and the ribs. both kids fly off. Bakugo, who's watching this, is completely shocked at the sight of what just happened. Midoriya, someone who's quirkless, beated two kids who are quirkless. Heck, those quirks are actually pretty strong. Well, except for the one kid with long fingers, that's not that strong. It's a kind of stupid quirk, not gonna lie. And Bakugo would go on to ask Midoriya how he just did that, and Midoriya wouldn't answer. Midoriya would simply walk away, and Bakugo would continue to pursue him. Bakugo would continue to pursue Midoriya as Midoriya comes to stop. And Midoriya looks at his hands and says, "So this is what it's like to be a hero." Even though he's the villain in the story, well, not really. He's the villain in the kid's story. He simply calls himself a hero. Bakugo looks at him in complete confused, but forgets about it. Heck, he thinks it might have just been a fluke. Midoriya and Bakugo's life continues to be the same, with Bakugo ignoring Midoriya. He doesn't bully Midoriya as in the original story, he kinda ignores him. And Midoriya would try to persuade Bakugo. And so, their lives would go on and continue as the same. One day, Midoriya would go straight home, and he would see an open sewer, and not think much of it. Continue walking, and, well, he hears a strange voice, and strange noises, turns around to see the sludge villain, a sludge-looking thing, monster, and Midoriya would reach into his bag and would take out a sheet. The sludge villain would be confused and laugh at why Midoriya has taken out a sheet of cloth. Unwrapping this sheet, it reveals a sword. Midoriya had taken the sword when they were cleaning, when his mom was cleaning the closet, and had found it. Saying his name on it, he had just taken it, and he had kept it with him, as it's the last thing that his father had given him. The monster would look as Midoriya unsheaths the sword, and completely confused this has to do something with his quirk. And the sludge villain would be a bit cocky, and Midoriya would go on to take a stance. The stance instantly gave the sludge villain chills, and not thinking much of it, instantly charges at Midoriya, and at the blink of an eye, Midoriya cuts the sludge villain into thousands of pieces. The sludge villain, completely shocked at this, can't even think of what the hell just happened. I just got cut in 1,000 pieces. He doesn't even have much time to, put himself together. He comes back to his senses after he hears a voice. The voice of the number one hero, coming out from the sewers. He quickly puts himself back together and tries to escape, but All Might simply punches him and puts him into a bottle. All Might remembers that there was a kid around here. Where is he now? Till looking around, realizes that there's no one here. But he does have a vivid memory of who it was. He doesn't think much of it. Well, he does continue to think about it, on where the kid went and how he looked like. But as he's thinking of it, the sludge villain is successfully able to escape. And All Might continues to leave. He lands on a nearby building where he hears an explosion. Is this another villain attack? Reaches for his pocket and realizes that the sludge villain is gone. Oh no. He quickly jumps to see the explosion, and as he arrives, instantly turns into his Small Might form. He quickly hides, and he doesn't want anyone to see him. But someone did see him. Midoriya. But Midoriya doesn't think much of it. Midoriya does know who the number one hero is, as he actually in the story, would still watch television, watch the news and stuff like that. Midoriya would walk to the front to see that his childhood friend, kinda his childhood friend, is being captured by the sludge villain thing. Bakugo creating explosions to remove the sludge villain, not even working. All Might is just there watching. Midoriya doesn't really know what to do. and the hero's not even doing anything. And the sludge villain would look into the crowd to see Midoriya, and the same chill that he felt is back. But this time he feels fear. He quickly slowly starts to loosen Bakugo as he's completely frightened. Though he gets back to his senses and latches him back to Bakugo. The heroes who don't know what to do are completely useless. Midoriya reaches into his bag again, pulling the sword, unsheathing it. The sludge villain simply gets scared again. Is he gonna cut him up into a million pieces again? No. If he does it, he'll kill the kid. But no. Midoriya simply starts to breathe in. And instantly, in a blink of an eye again, cuts the villain in half. The villain, confused at this, wouldn't he just kill the kid? Well, no. During this, Midoriya actually had time to save Bakugo. He places Bakugo on the ground and quickly vanishes. And All Might, who's still in his small form, is completely shocked at this. The villains, who now quickly try to capture the sludge villain and successfully do it. And the only person who successfully was able to see Midoriya was All Might, and now has a clear picture of what Midoriya had looked like. Well, anyways, I hope you guys enjoyed this What If. Like I said in the beginning, sorry for being gone for a while. Well, 2 months to be exact. Hopefully this will make it up to you, and we can finally end this. Like for part 2, I guess.